My name is Meredith. I am the instructor for the data science program. And I want to introduce to you Amy Gerrish. She is one of our very first graduates of our data science program. She graduated a little over a year ago, if I'm remembering correctly. And she has been successfully employed as a junior data scientist at Outlier. And so she's here today. She's our very first data science guest speaker. So we're really excited to have her. And she's going to tell you a little bit about what she's been doing, how that process has been like for her, and just generally what life is like after graduation. So without further ado, please take it away, Amy.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to share my journey with you guys. And so basically, I think I graduated at the end of the summer last year. And Woz U helped me get some interviews going, and I interviewed with this company and they hired me. So I think I started with them in October of 2018. And as I onboarded with the team, they kind of dumped me straight into pulling data out of their database. And so I really just started with SQL and creating queries and being able to pull the data out. And so that was kind of like my first, I guess, like jump straight in, and that's kind of where they put me. And so it was kind of a big learning curve, and they helped me grow and they helped me learn. And so now I can write queries and pull reports and get all the data that we need in order to analyze and solve the problems for the business. And let's see, what else do we do? We do a whole bunch of stuff. So I help support, we have a lot of franchises within this company. So I help support the franchisees and their needs and running the data for their businesses as well. So I create reports and help them do self-service data analytics as well. And I've helped put together and analyze the algorithms for the Facebook campaigns and help them with their advertising as well. And I think the first campaign that we did, we ran from January to June of this month, and we did probably almost about $200,000 in sales just on Facebook, just knowing about the Facebook algorithm and all of that kind of stuff. So that's been really fun too, because I love marketing. And I don't really know what else you guys want to know. I'm open to any questions that you guys kind of have along too. So I want to kind of help you with your journey. The team here has been great, and they understand that I had just come out of school. So they really, help me learn along the way with stuff that I don't know. They, will either tell me like, hey, look this up or read this, or, they'll just tell me like, hey, it's X, Y, and Z, we'll get you what you need to do. So it's been really great. Now that I've been working in the database and learning how to pull the data and make sure the data is accurate, there's a whole bunch of caveats to writing the queries. And then when you get your results, you have to make sure that the data is correct, because sometimes there's different IDs or whatnot that maybe you kind of put in wrong, and it's pulling data from somewhere else, and you're getting maybe too many results or not enough results. And so you have to make sure that your data is accurate. And that's kind of one of the biggest things, I think, about working with the data, is making sure that that is good for when you present it to your team members. Let's see. So yeah, so now that I've been working with SQL and my reporting is more accurate, I will be training next with the other data scientists on the team, and we'll be doing more algorithms and modeling and that kind of stuff. So let's see if we have questions coming in. And I'm not sure because I'm on my phone. Let's see, here's the chat. So when you started, what were the expectations in terms of your expertise? Did they expect you to plug and play into their SQL, or did you design the formulas? So yeah, so I they brought me in on the, they use Postgres SQL for one company, and with another, so let me just back up a little bit here. So the company that I work for, we own major brands. And so one of the brands uses Postgres SQL and the other brand uses Microsoft SQL. So there is kind of that learning curve as well as learning two different types of SQL. So yeah, I jumped in to learn Postgres SQL first, and then
You get an 85%.
slowly went over to the other one and learned like the Microsoft. They're just slightly different, but mostly everything is the same, but there's just like a little bit quirks. One does this, you have to, say, one thing over here and one thing in another, but everything is Googleable. So you can find most of like the little quirks and nuances between the codes you can find on Google too. So it's really not a big deal. But they did teach me, how they want to see their calculations, like how they calculate their ROI and things like that. They did teach me that, so that when I do write the reports and stuff like that, I use the calculations that they showed me how. So I hope that answers your question. Anybody else have any questions? Let's see.
Hi, Amy. Thank you very much for being here. My name is JR. I'm part of the career services team here at Woz U.
Hi.
Hi there. Thank you. Hey, I was curious. We do have some recent grads from the data science program online. Can you share with them what the interview process was like?
So the interview process was extensive. So just so you know my background, I came from real estate, so I've been self-employed for like over 10 years, and I haven't really interviewed in a while. So when I came in, I wasn't really sure what to expect, and they had a case study for me, and they interviewed me for 2 hours, and then towards the end of it, they gave me like kind of like a case study, and I had to basically try and find like revenue opportunities for like a sample store, like a franchise store, and help like and just kind of analyze the data in front of me and say, hey, there's opportunities here. They're down and selling, X, Y, and Z, and they could be selling more of that kind of thing. So I did have to do a case study and do some analyzing kind of like on the spot. And that took about 30 minutes. I think they gave me 30 minutes to do that as well. So that's.
How do you feel that you were prepared for that?
Yeah, I felt that I was prepared for it. Again, they knew that I was new and fresh out of school, and so that they were hiring first year employee, and so but I was prepared with what their expectations were, so it was great.
So when you went through the process, did you do research about the company that you're currently employed with, or just kind of going a little bit blind, or how did you do that?
Yeah, so being a real estate agent, I usually get a lot of leads of strangers, sending me their contact information. And so I'm really good at doing, online research about people. So of course I did, I Googled them and I, tried to find, what companies they were, because it's not just, again, who I work for is not just one brand, it's multiple brands. So I was excited to learn that they do own a real estate company as well. So I did move my license over to their real estate company. And I do consulting with their real estate company. And I also do like the data analysis with one of the other brands.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you taking that time and answering those questions.
Sure. Yeah. Let's see. Oops. And I lost you guys. Put that back on.
If it's easier, Amy, I can read you the questions that come up in the chat.
Yeah, that might be good too, because I'm on my phone and I couldn't figure out how to get it on the computer.
Sure, I'll read them out then.
Sure.
The next question I see is, did you only have Woz U education, or do you have schooling from somewhere else as well?
Yeah, so my background is basically like I said before, I've been a real estate agent coming on to 12 years now. So I've mainly done real estate. I do have a degree in respiratory therapy, so that's really healthcare related. So I do have some physics and chemistry and anatomy background, but mostly this was a new field for me, and it kind of fit right in, just like my personality, and I'm very analytical, especially coming from real estate. I obviously analyze the market a lot and compare sales and how long it's going to take me to sell this house and things like that. So I did come from that kind of a analytics.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. There's another question about kind of how you're working right now. Are there large teams that you're working on, or kind of how is it structured?
So basically I work with mainly another data scientist. He's my boss. So he's the director, and the other data science team that works throughout the company with the different brands, like the one who I'm going to learn modeling from, she's in a different building. So I mainly work kind of, it was one-on-one for a while with my boss, and that now I'm kind of more independent. And so now he'll give me projects, and, I'll get them started and, see them to the finish. And so we're kind of a small data science department, but we work with, I have to go into meetings with the other teams. So we have operations teams, and we have our marketing teams, and we work closely with marketing a lot. So.
Excellent. Thank you. I'll throw my own question into the ring here. Sure. What advice would you give students who are getting near the time of graduation, or new graduate students from data science?
So I would say, since I think the curriculum has changed a little bit since I first started, I think it's a lot longer now. And so I know I learned the basics, the base stuff to get me into this field. So you learn SQL, you learn, R programming and Python. And I would say figure out which one you like the best, like what is your passion, and really focus on that and expand on that. So if you want to do the modeling and working with the predictive analytics, focus on that. Take more classes on it. After you graduate, do more things with it and practice that. Because if that's where you want to work, that's what you should focus on. So.
Awesome advice. Thank you, Amy. I'm seeing another question here. Trevor is wondering, for extended learning, what would you recommend? MySQL, Python, R, Excel, like VBA or macros?
Yeah, I work a lot in Excel. Since I don't do a lot of modeling yet, I'm not going to tell you like R or Python, because it's taken me this far to get to cleaning the data, and making sure that the data is correct before I get into the modeling part of it. Oh, am I missing? I thought I just heard maybe that was extra noise. So I would say focus, as far as the actual learning goes, again, focus on where your passion is. So if you want to be in that predictive analytics and that AI space, like definitely learn the R and the Python. There's tons of extra, classes. There's like local meetups. There's, you can get kind of down and dirty with it if you do like the Kaggle competitions and things like that. And there's tons of stuff for you to learn. So again, I'm going to say go where your passion is, as far as when you're done with school and what you want to do after class.
Amy, this is JR again from Career Services. I wanted to ask you, upon getting into and starting this job, how long did it take you to kind of settle in and get comfortable?
Let's see. I think it was a learning curve, definitely with getting to know SQL, probably took me, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 months, I think, to really feel comfortable where I could write my own, without having to have my boss, look at it and kind of babysit it, I would say. So I feel like, it took me probably about that long, for 4 to 5 months. And then, there's still some things that will stop me that I'm not sure, because when you're working with a database, as expensive as ours is, we have all these different IDs, we have all these different places where things hide, and you just don't know. And so having somebody who's been here longer and they know like what this ID goes to and what's supposed to pop up for it, sometimes I still have to ask and say, hey, what do you think about this? And why do you think this is doing that? And I have to ask the right questions in order to figure out the solution.
Amy, do you believe that this is a continual learning cycle, that you always need to stay on top of things and always keep learning?
Yeah, absolutely. I am going to a data science conference at the end of next month, at the end of September in San Diego. Our field is constantly growing, and right now I feel like I've just kind of tipped, I'm on the bottom of it, and I want to learn more. And there's so many great things, and the company that I'm at is really awesome. And so like, we can always bring new ideas and say like, hey, I think this might help, either get us more revenue or get us more, whatever. And they're totally open to the ideas of doing new things. So, going to those conferences, reading other people's blogs and like what they're doing in their industries and expanding on it is really awesome. And I love doing that kind of stuff.
Do you think taking advantage of what we offer here at Woz U with Woz for Life is a good thing for new graduates, and even somebody like yourself, out of school, coming back and just brushing up on the new things that we may be offering, or the curriculum updates?
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I haven't been into the curriculum since you guys have updated. I know it's changed. So that's, one thing that I need to get in and figure out. So maybe you guys can help me with that. But yeah, I definitely would love to see what has changed in the curriculum for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, Amy. After this, we can talk about what you might want to see, and I can get those put on your dashboard for you.
Awesome. Okay. I know when I graduated, I think I had asked for something to be put on the dashboard, and you guys added it for me because I wanted to I learned the basics of Python, and I think I had asked for another class so that I can build on that, and you guys added that for me. So, but it's been a while since I've been in there because I've been so busy.
Amy, where do you see this industry going? How much farther and how much more of an asset will it be for our current students and our graduates to really focus in, keeping driving forward in technology, things like that?
So it's constantly growing, and the need for data scientists, data analysts for basically any kind of market is growing. If you come from like a marketing background, the need is huge to constantly analyze the data and figure out what the trends are and where you're going next, as well as like the predictive analytics. And that is really great in pushing the customer experience and where people are going. I think with everything is on mobile, everything is handheld, and the customer experience has to change along with it. And I know we're seeing that in the real estate field as well. So, if you're come from a different industry, you can meld these two together to create something that like even something new. Gosh, there's so much. There's, coming from like that kind of stuff, and then into like AI and the machine learning and all of that, like the stuff that they're doing with not just the the predictions and getting the chat bots and things to talk back to, but they're actually working on like how to figure out how to get them to actually think too, as well as not just like pre-programming like what you think people will ask like a chat bot, but to get the chat bot to actually think like a human does. I think that's super cool. And so there's so much, like the field is just so big, so there's so many opportunities out there for you, and like I said, just figure out like what your passion is and where your talent lies, and really focus on that, and there's going to be a data job for you somewhere.
That was the perfect answer. Thank you.
Sorry, didn't mean to talk over you, JR.
You're
I see we have another question in the chat here. During your interview, what kind of questions were asked, if any, pertaining to Woz U and why you decided to pursue data science?
In my initial interview with this company, did they ask any of that? They asked, they mainly asked about my background and why I didn't want to be in real estate sales anymore. And let's see, they did ask about, some of the things that I did learn in school and kind of get a feel for what my capacity and what my, my skills were, where they were at. Well, number one. So I don't know, that's about, that's about all they asked me.
Thank you. All right. I have a question for you. I know you mentioned you spent a lot of time making sure that your data is correct. Mm-hmm. That is something I've also experienced with other jobs, lots of time put into that. And I know it's hard to kind of capture that idea as a student. Can you give an idea of kind of what that process really looks like and what it's all about?
Yeah, so making sure your data is good is the biggest thing. Running all those calculations and maybe doing a logistic regression or anything like that on it. I would say getting your data prepared for that one piece of like doing that calculation. The calculation takes minutes, but getting the data correct in order to do that kind of stuff is probably about like 60% of what you have to do as a data scientist. And so it's for me personally, in what I do here, it starts with my SQL query, organizing it in the columns that I need, and then I'll export it and I'll throw it into Excel. I'm not working with super big data right now, so 100,000, a million rows. I'm not working with stuff that big. So working in Excel is easy for me to visualize and make sure that all of it is proper. And then I'll go in and I'll spot check it. So, making sure like, hey, was this the revenue last month? And then I'll have to look at the numbers and make sure that that actually matches what the revenue was, because sometimes when you write a query, you can mess that up. So I have to make sure, and I have to, before I analyze it or before I give it to somebody else to analyze. So it's a big part of the job.
Absolutely. It is a huge part. Thanks for taking a little bit of time to explain what that's like. Anyone else have any questions they'd like to ask Amy? I'm sure JR and I can keep asking questions all day, but if anybody else wants to, please open the floor up.
Hey, Amy, while we're looking to see if there's any other questions that pop up, how do you handle working with smaller databases over larger ones?
Go ahead.
Amy, are you still there?
How do I handle working with a smaller?
Yes. So how do you handle working with smaller databases over larger databases?
Yeah, the data, well, we have a lot of data. Like we could be like big data, but like the data sets that we tend to look at are smaller. So we don't need those tools like Hadoop or, anything like that to manage the larger data sets. So right now we have specific needs. And so when we're looking at something, our email database is giant. So we do use another, we use an Amazon server for that. And I don't work a lot in analyzing emails. So I mainly work with the other stuff like the revenue and some of the marketing stuff. So I don't need to work with that right now, but it will be something that as the companies grow that we will be having to expand to. And working with big data is a specialty. So, and like I said before, figure out what your passion is. If you want to work with big data and you want to figure that out, like that's a whole niche for you to go and explore. So working with, like, I do a lot with the reporting and analyzing the data. And like I said, we have another data scientist that does the modeling and a lot of the predictive stuff. And we have another data scientist that works in the database and doing the database architecture and building that kind of stuff. So there's lots of niches to work with. And the opportunities are endless. So figuring out, like I said before, just like, what is your passion? What do you want to do? There's so much here for you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Amy. I see we have another couple questions here. The next one is there any part of the course that you wish you had spent more time on?
Yeah. The modeling and the AI stuff and the random forest and the regressions and stuff. And like I said, the curriculum has changed. I believe it's different for you guys from when I took it. So I think the focus was a little bit smaller. So I'm not sure if you guys changed that or not. But I'm totally interested in the artificial intelligence and the chatbots and that kind of thing. And I'm slowly working my way into it. So I feel like this company is great for me because, I am learning how to clean the data and get it all, that foundation of it. And then, in the next thing they're going to have me doing is the modeling and that kind of stuff. So, but yeah.
Okay, great. You are correct. We have changed things a little bit. We have now, we do cover like random forest and machine learning. We also have stuff on modeling in Python and in R. So we can absolutely share that with you. Thanks.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I'd love to see it.
Yeah, the next question is, anything you wish you had known before you started working in the field?
No, I do a lot of research on everything. And so I kind of, I look at everything and I read everything. So I was completely prepared, and then based on what, the classes that I went through with Woz U, gave me that foundation to grow upon. So I don't think I missed anything. So thank you.
That's great. Glad to hear you had it all. I have another question here for you. What resources did you use to find your current position? Things like LinkedIn, Indeed, Monster. Where were you kind of looking for jobs?
Woz U was my research. I did, let's see. Since I've been kind of self-employed for a long time, I didn't really know where to start. And so Woz U, with the career services, they did help me, get my interviews, and especially with this company. I did sign up for like the LinkedIn, like Pro, whatever that is, so that you can see who the recruiters are and what that looked like. And I'll tell you, it's super scary when you're reading the expectations on that kind of stuff. So don't let that get in your head. You know, Woz U takes a lot of time to make the connections with companies, and so I went with that because it did scare me to, you know, want to kind of put my resume out, you know, not having like the real experience yet. So, but yeah, I mean, there's lots of opportunities. So I guess it just depends on what your background is, and if you can transition a little bit easier. You know, I came from, again, real estate, and didn't really have any experience like working day to day in a database. And now that's what I do every day, and it's comfortable for me. But so I hope I didn't scare anybody, but so listen to the career services guy. He's great.
Thanks, Amy. We do have an absolutely wonderful career services team, so I'm glad you were able to make such great use of them. What other questions do you all have? While they're thinking about it, I have another one for you. I know you mentioned like analyzing some data with Facebook campaigns and kind of getting to know their algorithms. Would you mind expanding a little bit on that?
Yeah, so that's one of my favorite things to do. So basically, there's so many different ways to leverage Facebook for marketing, and so figuring out what's going to be best for the company, you know, gosh, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. So giving away like I do come from a marketing background, and I do come from a lot of real estate is internet lead generation based. And so so really researching and understanding Facebook's algorithm is kind of a big deal in order to create the campaigns that are really going to speak to people. Facebook has certain things of like, if you set your goal, you know, to be a traffic, then they're going to show your ad to people who will want to click on it and will send traffic to your website. And so there's that goal. And then there's like conversion goals. And a conversion can be a sale. It can be like capturing somebody's email. And so, so it's really understanding what all of those goals are and how their algorithm works to complete those goals. And basically, you know, not a lot of people understand how Facebook's algorithm works. So if you can understand it, you can be the consulting person like in your company to say, hey, we can do X, Y, and Z with Facebook. It's totally available. And I know how to do it. And so that's kind of one of the things. And then downloading, basically I download the results and figure out it was the campaign that I suggested, is it working? And if it's not, then we have to figure out why. And then you kind of look at the data, and it's going to be either the copy isn't right, like either the picture could be off, your messaging could be off, or the goal that you chose could be off, or even your budget could be off. Like maybe we're not spending enough money because it is an auction style. So maybe there's like so many people doing the same thing. So there's only certain things that will stop your campaign from not working properly. So, you know, analyzing the data will help you understand like where those stopping points are.
That's great to know. Thank you, Amy. All right. Anyone else with questions?
So I can kind of give you like an overview of.
Oh, I think we lost you there for a second.
I can kind of give you guys an overview of like what my day, I guess.
Yeah, that would be wonderful, Amy.
Okay. So basically like my day or like my week. So I come in on Mondays, I do a lot of the reporting and analyzing. We do have reports that kind of cast into the future. And so I will analyze all of that and see how we're doing for like the next 5 weeks in our sales. And that'll help our marketing team figure out like, hey, we have to do X, Y, and Z. Maybe we should look at our campaigns that are not working. So I do Mondays I call are my reporting days. So I do analyze a lot of stuff on Monday. And then usually Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I write queries and work on solving those kinds of problems. Like as the problems come up, then you write the queries to try and get the data that you need in order to solve the team's problems. And then I do some territory research. So I have cool queries that pull demographics, and then I help try and find like new places to open up for the company as well. So if we want to expand into another market, we'll check the demographics and make sure that it works for us. And that query is really cool because it uses like a lot of census data and that kind of stuff. But basically that's kind of what I do in a nutshell, like all week. And then as the real estate company needs me, I started doing some Facebook analyzing for them, and I help consult with them with their tech team.
Very cool. Sounds like you're living the dream there.
It's a lot of work. A lot of stuff
I bet it is.
going on. But it's totally fun. So if you have if you like this kind of stuff and you like solving the problems and, you know, just figuring stuff out, then it's fun because it's like a detective work all week long.
Yes, I always say that data scientists need a lot of curiosity.
Yeah. Yep. So that's
all right.
Basically it.
Oh, go ahead, Amy.
No, that's basically I have for you guys. So if you guys have any other questions, awesome. If not, I'm happy to share.
Yeah, I don't see any more questions in the, oh, here's one more. People are still needing you. What kind of career progression do you see for yourself?
So I kind of see, like I said, I am super interested in learning more of the modeling and things like that. So I kind of see myself growing into the company, you know, into that kind of data science role, and to be less of like the data cleaner and do more of that. Of course, I'm going to have to write those reports for myself, but I want to be able to predict things and tell the company like, hey, we should be going in this direction, and really help have a more leadership role in where kind of we drive things. So that's kind of where I see myself going at this point.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. All right. I think we are just about out of time, but I see there's one more question here. What are some real world problems or projects that employers are looking to solve that would make a good final project when I get to that point?
A good final project? There's so many things. I guess it's going to depend on like what data you have access to. But there's so many things we kind of look at from day to day, whether, you know, we're in Google Analytics, you know, solving problems with the website, or, you know, we even analyze our pages and see what's going on like on our individual pages, you know. So sometimes I'm just looking at a website and figuring out like why, you know, somebody's sales aren't going through. Maybe something's wrong with their website too. But, you know, so there's those kinds of problems which are a little bit easier. I do competition analysis. So I'll look at the market and I'll just go onto Google and I'll start creating a database of like who's somebody's competition in the area, what their prices are, and I'll start analyzing prices. You can do, like I said, marketing is kind of a big deal. So looking at analyzing some data, I'm not sure, go to Kaggle. There's tons of like data sets in there that you could totally just take and they're clean. And so, you know, doing some cool stuff with that data is probably a neat thing to look at for your project because there's tons of data in there.
Absolutely. We've done a lot with Kaggle data sets, and the sky is limitless for your final project. I love how you kind of said that, Amy. All right. Well, thank you very, very much, Amy, for being with us here today. It has been wonderful to be able to ask you some questions and answers. I know our students are always worried about what's going to happen when they finish the program and how is it going to feel and what is it going to be like. And so I think you've really given us some wonderful insight into what that process is and how it feels. So thank you so much for spending your time with us today, Amy.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm totally, whenever you guys need stuff, I'm here. So this is fun.
Thank you. And I know every once in a while you've popped on and helped students here and there. So thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.